I just want to start on a good note. Oh, I love that towel. I wore that thing proud because people would look at that and go, are you serious? But it's like, no. But it's funny, isn't it? Got you to come over and talk. Anyway, that's Bo's, actually. I'm not going to take credit for that. That was Bo's that somehow I inherited, but that was his favorite towel. Anyway, so I got to give credit where credit's due, but I love that towel because it just brought back so many memories. So hold on. So I'm just kind of winging it because I'm not sure where I'm going to go. But yeah, so all that was up here. When I was up there was when I started racing with Fully Ado. Now we're going to get into how crazy was. We're at like halftime on the crazy. And I know I keep saying and so and but and hold on. Okay, to kind of put this into perspective. So there's where the house was. That's where I am. And guess where failed midlife crisis number 1 worked? Right there. So she was right downtown. I don't think we ever crossed paths, or if we did, I didn't know it, but she probably had people tracking me or something. Like, what's he doing? Because I made no bones about this is where I was. It was one of those where I did creepy things, but I did not lie about them. Like being interested with other people, and that's where I'm about to get to, but that over was over, separation, and I made no bones about where or what, because Miles' stuff still resonated, and I wasn't going to be creepy guy with a secret life. My creepy was on the open. Just want to establish that. Not proud of my creepy, I'm just open about it. So we're back downtown. After Caprice, I had a blow up. Oh, Stu was one of those would just scream at you. Just scream. And it'd be like, you dumb and it was so abusive. He had Helen in tears. He had John Larson in tears. No, I'm kidding. Didn't have John Miller. Stu did not blink at John Miller, co-owner John Miller. That guy was so, and it got to the point where people would fumble around and he'd go, come on. But the thing is, the guy, when he got off the boat, you could barely, he was a low talker. Blah, 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 blah. But when he got on the boat, he turned into an unbelievable screaming, yelling, insulting. And it got to the point where it was going to cause damage because people were, so, not terrified, but insulted. And it got to the point where I had to just say, Stu, I always get a case of beer when I depart. Miles, got to go. Here's a case of beer. You only drink Miller Lite, but I couldn't buy a case of Miller Lite if you paid me. Anyway, so I got Stu, and I said, I can't do this anymore. And it was the tri-state. Before the tri-state. There's no way I can spend 3 nights with those guys with all this going on. Because the port-to-ports were the only thing Caprice did well on, and that's a big port-to-port race. But it just wasn't fun. So at the end of the summer, Fully Ado is down here. And I got to think of how I got hooked up with Fully Ado. No, Stu was a member of Columbia, so that's how it was. That's how it was, because Caprice would be down here. Okay. And Fully Ado, and how did I get on? I ended up on Fully Ado, but there had to have been a person. Anyway, so they invited me to do the tri-state. They needed someone, they had a crew walkout. Larry ticked off a bunch of crew. Something got around where they needed a crew member, and I found out, and I knew about Fully Ado. They were a hot boat, and the one-tonner, the old school one-tonners and everything. And I'm trying to think of the other names of them, but I can't. And so he invited me on, and I'm like, oh, this is rock star stuff now. So, I get my foot in the door with Caprice and then wear that welcome out and then get on Folie à Deux. So Folie à Deux for the Tri-State, baby. And then I was staying up in Lake Geneva, and the first day of the Tri-State, no, that's not right. But it's irrelevant to you guys, but I'm trying to just get the story right. Because the first race, I was scheduled to be on the first race with them. I had to duck out because I got pulled over in Lake of the Hills because out of nowhere, I was driving illegally. And out of the blue, I get pulled over in Lake of the Hills, which just happens to be on the way back from Lake Geneva. Get pulled over. I'm unable to make boat call because I'm getting arrested. Then I get pulled over and I go to the station. I'm missing boat call and everything, but I was to pack lunch. I walk back to my car and get back in. I'm thinking, no, God's telling you, don't get in. They're waiting for you. They're waiting for you. It's like, I gotta try. Get in the car, go about 50 yards, boo! Get pulled over again. So I had 2 suspended license driving, but ever since then, I felt so ashamed of missing the lunch that I made lunch for the boat for the next, 99 through 2003, 4? So 5 years. And we'll get into that little debacle. But yeah, so I ended up on Foley, and then they liked me, and I took them all out to dinner when we ended up on the Tri-State, but this was the race before the Tri-State. Because, one of those two, it was the Verve Cup. That was it. It was the Verve Cup that Larry lost his crew because they walked out because he was this old, I'll get into Larry, but he's just this old fart that has a boat, the guy with the hot car, and he would just get chicks on the boat and whatever. He's a sleazeball, and I'll say that to your face, Larry, because you've done me more wrong. You got all the people to come up and empty my house, so I can diss on you a little bit. Call it like it is, because I ain't saying anything bad about you that hasn't been said about you in the whole fleet. So, just settle down, Larry. But he was this old fart that had a nice toy. He's a cool guy. I gave him that. He's a cool guy. He's an accountant, so I gotta give him that credit because he's the cool accountant guy. But he's a lush and he's an old pervert. But probably the only thing I admire about Larry is that he's just not shy about how perverted he is. And everything inside my head, Larry just wore it on his sleeve. So I give him that credit. I do. Larry, I'll tip my hat for that. I don't condone it, but I'll tip my hat that you're no holds bar on your little debauched behavior. In fact, you kind of giggle about it and tell people about it. So, anyway. So, this crew walked out on Larry because he kept having his girlfriend on and bumped key members. So they finally said, Verve Cup, I'm gone. So they jumped on another boat. Stu never did Verve Cup because he's an old turd on the water. So that's how I got on Foley, because they were down there and they're like, hey, you want to race? Yeah, I do. On you? So Folie à Deux, I'll just get this out of the way because I'll probably say it 2 or 3 more times. Folie à Deux. It's a French psychologist term for a madness shared by 2. You go figure. So I get on this boat, and guess who's the foredeck person on that boat? Ray. And what's Ray's last name? Fisher. So God's doing this, not me. So I write a little book about about fishing, and Fisher, and Ray is the epitome of Jill, but the man-made version. Because Jill flew, Ray flew. Ray went to Wisconsin. I wanted to go to Wisconsin. Ray looked like Jill, but after she went to a jet lab and sat in the chamber for a couple weeks. So that could have come out a little bit better, but But the parallels were there. Oh my God. And she was attractive. Yeah, I don't want to be mean. Not in the face. I got caught like it is. Not in the face. Just call it like it is. Anyway, I mean, nothing could. No, not even, because I know I keep showing it, but it kind of stirs up new memories and things, so no, we're going to go with this depiction of Ray. So in my mind, I thought I saw someone, but this was reality. And so, you know, I thought, okay, Ray, and she was foredeck. You know, this boat was really fun. They had fun people on it. Julie, I'll think of her last name, but the people that stayed on board were fun. Paul was there. We'll get into Paul, and the people that didn't jump ship were the true sailor. Or let me put it this way: the guys who jumped were true racers. And the guys that stayed on were true loyal people to a boat captain. Yeah, that's a fair way to say it. They were, loyal to Larry. And so those guys were fun. After the first race, they wanted to know more about me. And I've got this little shtick where I tell about the cello story about baseball and Little League, and playing the cello is kind of my endearing, like, oh, we got like this guy. He played the cello and couldn't play baseball, because that's why I got into racing, team sports. And Ray just thought that was so funny. And she was, from a distance, you'd look at it and go, she wore a bikini. She was 40. We're the same age. She was born in July, like July 17th, and I was born September the same year. So we were the same age. She went to Wisconsin. She was in engineering, and I wanted to go to Wisconsin for journalism. We had all that. Oh, the most ironic thing that we didn't find out till later. I gotta tell this right. When I got married, this is how much influence Jane had on me. I gotta get another cup of coffee. Hold on. I gotta get this right. Hold on. Okay, I gotta make this story quick. When Jane moved up from Indy, and we got married at the Justice of the Peace, we planned a church wedding the following year. And things were falling apart faster than we could glue them together, but beside the point, she resented pretty much that she had a decent job in Indy, and she moved to Chicago, and she had problems finding work, and she kind of resented how I had CTL and all this, and she kind of worked it in my head that, we need to start out new. So I ended up interviewing for this company up in Madison called Osmos Engineers, and their specialty was restoration of railroad bridges, hence timber, osmos, and everything. And they had business cards that were cool. There's like 80 different types of ply, like a laminate of wood. And that was your business card? Oh, is that neat. And, oh yeah, another business card story. The job I had in Chicago that I hated so much, they spelled my name wrong. Stegskal. So there's perfect. Anyway, I'm getting up too many roads. Anyway, so Jane convinced me to quit CTL. I had quit CTL after the church wedding and went up to Wisconsin to find an apartment, but I was working at Osmos. That only lasted 3 weeks until I finally called Hans up and said, is my seat still warm? And he said, yeah. I said, I need a week off, but this is turning into a disaster. He goes, no, show up tomorrow or we're hiring another guy. So that was a little kink in the old Jane story where, yeah, she convinced me that, they run you ragged and they're taking advantage of you, and then I'm here all alone and la 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 la. But, so it turns out Ray was dating at that time my boss at Osmos. And I forgot his name. It was Bill something. But how weird is that? And when we found that out, she had to pull over on the side of the road. This is, probably a year later. when we discovered that little thing, because I always told her about Madison, and she never even thought about Osmo's thing. But she had to pull over, and she just, put her head on the... And she was for drama a little bit, but not that time. And she pulled over and put her head on the steering wheel and said, "You have got to be kidding me." Because I told her about my boss. And she goes, "That was the guy I dated back." Oh, how weird is that? All right, so we're getting into Ray. But there are all these weird things. And it's like, oh, Ray, God's doing this. This is my part too. This is the person to spend the rest of my life. Look how voluptuous. Anyway, I got it. But she was... if you saw her on another boat 100 feet away, you'd go, "Oh my God, who is that?" Then you find out she's a 40-year-old woman? Oh, so I'll give her that. We'll cover that. So where am I going with this? Hold on. So if you can hear the music in the background, I didn't pause that long. So she's on the boat, and she's laughing at all my jokes. She's laughing at all my stories. She's laughing at... But she took a liking. Oh, the ski trip. Okay, I'm just remembering stuff, guys. I'm just remembering stuff. I'm not going to jump into them as soon as I remember them anymore. I'm done doing that. You could tell that there was something going on there, and when I ran the pit, so, the pit and the foredeck have to have their communication and everything, so we had a little extra banter going on. That's where we kind of took it into the off season, where we kept talking on the phone and blah, blah, blah. Never had an affair, never, no. And before the divorce was final, I mean, we were separated, Jane and I were separated, but no hanky-panky, But, and then the Mac, now we're going forward a year into the 2000 now, that we were on the Mac, and then it's beyond flirting. Well, now it is the appropriate time for the ski trip. So we're yakking, and I even went to Trader Vic's, not on a date. Just noticed the microphone sitting off to the side. All right, I think I only lost 6 minutes. Or she found out that I dated, I dated my old boss. Oh God, I dated her old boyfriend, something like that. Anyway, so we got to that fall. We went out to dinner at Trader Vic's. It wasn't a date, but yeah, it was a date. But I told myself it wasn't a date because there's no hanky-panky. But, we went, and she was intelligent, but she was intelligent, cunning intelligent, because guess who borrowed $10,000 after all said and done? But we'll get to that. Think she saw a mark? No denial. She liked me. She liked my baseball stories. So we ended up talking. We went to Trader Vic's, and it was just so much fun talking to an intelligent person. And come out right. And it was because of that where it was, there's no way, what am I doing? I knew the marriage was bad to begin with. I wrote not even a year into the marriage, I was drawing up on a piece of paper, drawing a line in the middle of the page, drawing all the good things and all the bad things, and I had all bad things and no good things, except for, you gotta stay married? Oh, that's no good. So, talking with Ray and having someone that gives you attention, imagine that, that it was like, okay. So, things are wrapping up on Grant Street, which is where the house was. And I tell Jane, I go, I'm going to go on this ski trip because I've got surgery coming up. And the surgery was February 2000. And so the week before, it was Ray, Helen, I think John Larson went. Oh, we had another guy, Lee. Lee was from Australia on Caprice. And Lee was hilarious, but we couldn't figure out if he was just saying funny things or is because of his accent that we thought he was funny. But he was kind of a middle-aged guy, just funny and great to be around, just good energy and stuff. Not that I'm new agey with energy, but there's just people that you get along, and they get along, and everyone gets along, and always says the right thing at the right time, and never the wrong thing, and anyway. So Lee went with us. There were 5 of us that went. But we go out to Lake Tahoe. I'm looking up Lake Placid. It's like, no, Lake Tahoe. So we go out to Tahoe. We rent a cabin. There are 5 of us. We have a blast. But then Ray had it in her mind that this was going to be our make or break weekend. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Say no more. No. Still not officially divorced, so I didn't do that. But we got there, got a lazy finger again this morning. She thought we were going to stay in the same room or something, and we never talked about that, so And when we got out there, she just turned into this, and I paid for Lee's trip, I paid for her trip, and I paid for another person because they weren't going to come unless they said they didn't have the money. I said, don't worry about it, because I got this check, this reimbursement check for insurance or something. Jane didn't find it and deposited it. But I said, I'll take care of it. I just need this trip before I have this big surgery because it's going to be anterior posterior fusion. I knew racing was going to be a big question. So it was like, you guys got to go. And I did. I glued that trip together, and Helen went, oh, did we have fun? Yeah, John Larson went. He's a terrible skier, but oh, did we have fun? So we went out, and then Ray drove. She rented the car, and this is how bad she got. When she found out I was going to not stay on the couch or something, the morning we got up, the car was gone. We're all getting ready to go skiing on the first day, and the car's gone. She had lost her contact lenses, and that morning, she disappeared. And she didn't come back till like 11:30 because she had to get a pair of contact lenses. And so that's such a great example of how she was. She didn't care about that effect on the rest of the group. She had to get contact lenses replaced. That set the tone with the rest of the group with her. Because, what? Are you kidding me? On the first day that we're all hopped up, we don't have our raccoon tan going? Oh, come on. And then she got all belligerent. Why are you mad at me? I'm the one that didn't have glasses. So then I'm kind of like, whoa, here's a new side, which I ignored. $10,000 prior. And, but yeah, she was the victim. She was always the victim. The little victim, as Subhash Goel would say. Vectors and victims. I'm not prejudiced. And it was just like, now I've got this flood of memories of victimization. But if an electric bill was late, it was not her fault because of this. If something else happened, it wasn't her fault because of this. And you know what? Draggy finger again, that, whatever the problem was, and let's give her background, that she had worked for a company, and then she didn't get fired, but she quit because they were harassing her. And then she ended up suing a company for harassment. She had this resume of 4 months here and then left, and then 8 months there and then left. So yeah, even though knowing all these puzzle pieces, I still didn't get this piece. I'm building on black. I see this Ray and stuff, so I'm building this puzzle. And I see these other big puzzle pieces with that, and I'm not even picking up. And I'm doing my perimeter first, which is pretty much the way it was. I was building the perimeter on the whole thing. I'm building this, I want to know Ray. I want to take her out to Trader Vic's. I'm not going to do adultery thing, and yet, which technically, scripture is if you look, okay, I had adultery before we even do. So let's just get my little righteous rear end on the right side of the railroad track. So, but and she was unemployed at the time, but she had a master's degree in business from the University of Chicago. Let's not forget that. Just building the perimeter like I was. Whoa. Yeah, I was stunned too. So, yeah, so it was a smart person. She was kind of fun to be around. Why is... Oh, it's driving me nuts, people. Hold on. But I got to do that with... Okay. It was like, this person's here. Prophetically, she's like, give it a chance. Give it a chance. So I justified her little... You know, when I saw that puzzle piece... It was like, I'm going to justify it because I know what it's like to not have a job, and I know what it's like to have a boss that kind of said things that aren't true. So even though I just didn't want to put those pieces together, so I'm all filling in the joints of interesting background. She's kind of, her father was either out of the picture or dead. And so it's like, I'm liking this black part. I'm liking the black part. And I'm still sitting on my left hand. Why do you do that? Anyway. But I have to do this. So anyway, yeah. And not that I mentioned this to be the analogy, but I'm building all these different areas. So finally, the ski trip goes. And we went up for New Year's that year. We drove up to go skiing in northern Wisconsin. I told Jane that, because what am I going to try and sneak out to go on a ski trip with someone? But we went skiing up in Wisconsin, told Jane all about, did anything happen? No hanky-panky. But we went as friends, and we just, you know, she obviously wanted, but she also wanted money. She also wanted someone to be a mark, and so that's just, you know, eventually, but I'm not there yet in my story. But I took all that affection and, you know, endearing and attention. Attention's the big word. I took all that attention of, wow, this is meant to be. And why would someone this beautiful be that has so much in common? And we drove up to the ski place. It was just north of Milwaukee. She's from Milwaukee. And how did that work? We ended up having to fly up to get her car because it broke down or something. So I ended up flying up with her to get her car. Or maybe that was it, that she went skiing and needed to fly up and get her car. I thought we went skiing on another trip, but somehow we ended up flying back to Wisconsin. That, you know, obviously I knew she was a pilot, but, you know, flying with her, and then that brought back memories because, you know, whatever. And so all these things are falling like God's little redo. And I got to think about what happened in that ski thing, because we ended up flying up there to get her car, and then we drove back, so I can't remember how that worked out. She might have gone up with other people, and then we did the thing. But regardless, I'm just trying to, you know, be honest. And I told Jane all about that. And that was over New Year's weekend. You know, guy disappears and has an excuse. No, I just told her. I said, I'm going up with Ray and get her car or something. So, anyway. So by that summer, the 2000 Mac, I had the surgery. She came by and she brought me food. And then it was kind of, she came over and it was getting uncomfortable because she was attractive. And I know I'm a guy. You get married, and then 10 years of just say hello to your sister. Say hello to my little sister. And, you know, no affection. We'll just call it that. No affection whatsoever. Then all of a sudden, you have someone apparently kind of fawning is a good word. And then she comes over. I mean, she knew what she was doing. She was, you know, the little extra unbuttoned blouse. Ooh, I'm sorry. Was that open? I'm sorry. Ooh, giggle, giggle. So that was going on. And then, okay, we'll get through this surgery. And that's when they got me the futon. Because I didn't have anything to sleep on. They got me the futon, Foley did. They liked me because I bought them dinner one time on the tri-state. It was like a $300 dinner. God, take a bunch of sailors out to dinner. Oh, burgers, and that's nothing. They could have ordered lobster and the bill would have been $310. God. Beer? Oh, rounds of beer, rounds of beer, rounds of beer. Anyway, another pitcher. Pitchers. Anyway. Or whatever you guys want. Whatever you guys want. Your little fruity cocktails. Dave. Paul. Anyway. So yeah. So by Mac, it was getting bad. I mean, I could only do the Bachelor, little, she's right there. She's right there. No, no, no. It's a sin. It's a sin. No, repent. Come on, dude. You're the only guy that wouldn't do that. Anyway, so we went on the Mac, and the Mac was traumatic because I was pushing the envelope with my back, because it was pretty dramatic surgery. They went in front side, so they carved out, they gutted me like a carp, and took all my insides out, and dug around my back, and then put all my guts back in, and sewed me up, and then I had stomach problems for probably a year and a half, and then they flopped me over, and then they went in the backside, so anterior, posterior, baby. So they went out the back, they cut out the old, and they put in a new fusion with these discs. Because I had this plate system before, and then they... keep touching your lips. And then they put in the little slider plates that are in there now. And then it's like, go home. And we've got more of those stories, but not here. And so I was banged up, but I had to race. So I don't think I missed the beginning of the season, and surgery was February 21st, because my brother's birthday is the 26th, and Jill's is 2 days real close to there. So yeah, I had the surgery. We were going to go on the luge place there's a luge run over in Muskegon or somewhere on west coast of Michigan, but I ended up having to bail on that. But yeah, I was sowing my oats before surgery. But we do the Mac, and we take the bus ride back from the Mac, and you talk about the perfect day that we sat in the back. In the back of this bus, there was a cooler of beer, and it was a hot Mac. It was probably a slow Mac, and we were exhausted. And the biggest thing Mac racers dread is the ride back. Because hell or high water, it's a miserable 7-8 hours, no matter what you do, unless you discover the what's his name? I want to say Rick Foley, but the something bus ride that this guy races on another boat. Rick, he works on Waterworks. Waterworks bus ride. I'll think of it. But he raced on Waterworks. It was a tartan 10 canary yellow boat, not to be confused with another tartan called Hot Canary. But anyway, we sat in the back. We had this bus for ridiculously cheap amount, $35, $85, who cares? But it's an air-conditioned bus. There are 2 buses full, and not the tight seats buses, but the spread out. We were in the back corner, the very back corner, by the bathroom and by the cooler. And all the cool guys around us were just telling war stories. And Ray and I were in the back just listening to them. I had lost my pain meds, or I thought the boat took off with my bag, my sea bag. And so I was going to go through detox without the Norco. I was on Norco then. That's the only way I got through the race. Hold on one second. So as it turned out, I had to go make another pot of coffee. This is going to get good. We're going to knock out a few birds in this one. We're on the back of the bus, and it's just, it's air conditioned, and it was just great. And we sat next to each other, but she wore these jean shorts, and she's all tan. I mean, she's tan, I'm tan. And then she has these little gold hairs. I know I get real kind of, but she had these gold hairs on her leg that were just like, oh my God, that just brought back memories. You know, when you're a little kid and you just have those blonde hairs from being on the sun so long. So that did it to me. That did it. It was just like, oh, man. It was just, okay. And then after, yeah, okay. And then it was just like, okay, I got to make sure that divorce is getting through really quickly because repent! But it was good. It was interesting. But oh God. But I gotta stop. We'll be back.